Ever wonder what happens when a Hollywood visual effects artist decides uh, to try their hand at rewriting the rules for an entire nation?
Sounds like a movie pitch in itself.
Right. Well, buckle up because that's exactly what we're diving into today. The wild ride that is Christian Blaze's story.
And we're talking about rewriting rules with a very specific philosophy in mind, using tools like blockchain technology. We've even got a tie-in to El Salvador's Bitcoin experiment. You could say this deep dive has it all.
Okay, so let's start with the man himself, Christian Blaze. His story begins in El Salvador back in 1979. Not exactly the most peaceful time and place to be born, right?
An understatement, to say the least. He was literally born in the middle of a civil war,
Wow.
which makes his family's decision to relocate to Canada in 1986 all the more significant. Think about it. They were seeking refuge, a chance at a fresh start in a completely new world. That experience must have had a profound impact on him, don't you think?
Absolutely, especially considering he chose to return to his roots later in life.
Right.
But before we get there, let's talk about his journey. I mean, talk about an early bloomer. This guy was selling computer programs at 14 years old.
He was practically coding before most people even knew what coding was. It speaks to a remarkable entrepreneurial spirit.
For sure.
But what I find really interesting is that he didn't immediately jump into the tech world. He moved back to Vancouver to study acting.
Wait, really? Acting? That's not exactly the typical path for a tech prodigy. So how does someone go from selling software as a teenager to working on special effects for shows like Supernatural?
That's the thing about Blaze. His journey is full of these unexpected turns. He clearly wasn't afraid to explore different paths, to experiment, and while he was studying acting, he got drawn into the world of visual effects. And, well, the rest is history. He becomes a sought-after VFX artist, working on everything from big-budget movies to indie flicks.
That's what I love about looking back at someone's career trajectory like this, you know? You can almost see how each step, even the seemingly unrelated ones, might have contributed to where they are now.
I agree, it's like connecting the dots.
Exactly. This wasn't just about learning technical skills. It was about cultivating this adaptability, this
Mm.
willingness to jump into different worlds, different genres, and make them his own.
And that willingness to jump into different worlds is important. Remember Crystal Insight, the media company he co-founded?
Oh, right. And this is where his tech background comes back into play, isn't it? He wasn't content with just creating stunning visuals for film. He wanted to tackle some of the industry's underlying problems, too.
Exactly. And one of the major issues he tackled head-on was the whole system of royalty payments for filmmakers. I mean, it's notoriously complex, right? So what does Blaze do? He develops a blockchain-powered solution to streamline the entire process and ensure everyone gets paid fairly and transparently.
That's huge.
Yeah.
So we're not just talking about a talented artist here. We're talking about someone who sees a problem, a real practical problem, and thinks, you know what, I can actually use technology to fix this. He's using his skills to make a tangible difference. So we've got this tech-savvy filmmaker, clearly not afraid to shake things up, but then he takes this sharp turn and suddenly he's proposing a whole new constitution. How does someone go from special effects and blockchain royalties to rewriting the rules of society?
It's a fascinating evolution, right? And it seems like his return to El Salvador in 2021 played a key role in this shift. Remember, this was right when the country took that leap of faith with Bitcoin, making it legal tender.
Okay, yeah, I see the connection. It's like he was drawn to this idea of challenging the status quo, of embracing radical change. And El Salvador was becoming a real-world testing ground for those ideas.
Exactly. In his notes, Blaze actually talks about how El Salvador's embrace of Bitcoin resonated with him. He saw it as this bold declaration of freedom, of using technology to create a more equitable future. It clearly made a big impression.
But here's where things get really interesting and honestly a little mind-bending. He starts talking about this idea of a constitution of love. And his core belief is that true love requires freedom. But not just freedom from something. Freedom to potentially choose the wrong thing.
That's a radical concept, isn't it?
Yeah.
It goes against so much of what we're taught about morality, about how to build a functioning society. We're often so focused on preventing mistakes, on guiding people toward what we perceive as the right path.
So is he saying that people should be free to make what we might consider big mistakes, even if it leads to negative consequences? That's a tough pill to swallow.
It's definitely a departure from conventional thinking. But Blaze argues that true love isn't about control or imposing our values on others. It's about empowering them to make their own choices, even if those choices lead to outcomes we might not personally agree with.
Okay, so how does that even work in practice? If everyone is free to make their own choices, even potentially harmful ones, How do you maintain any kind of social order?
That's where his vision of a decentralized nation comes into play. Imagine a community connected not by physical borders or a top-down government, but by a shared commitment to a single overarching principle: love.
So, not a nation in the traditional sense, then. What holds this decentralized nation together? Help me wrap my head around this.
In Blaze's view, it's about recognizing that love, true love, is about empowering others to pursue their own self-defined purpose. And he's not talking about romantic love here. He actually defines love as the potential for selfless action, actions that help others achieve their goals, even if it comes at a personal cost to yourself.
Whoa. So, it's not about warm, fuzzy feelings or romantic gestures. It's about actively putting yourself on the line to support someone else's journey, even if it doesn't directly benefit you or if their definition of success is different from yours.
Precisely. It's a radical reframing of what it means to be selfless, to truly love another person. And to solidify this vision, he goes a step further and actually drafts a constitution based on these principles. It's fascinating stuff.
A whole constitution. Wow. What's in this constitution of love?
Well, he starts with these fundamental definitions:
Hmm.
existence, consciousness, the self. It's almost like he's laying the groundwork for a whole new philosophy, wouldn't you say?
Absolutely. He's defining the building blocks of his entire worldview.
Exactly. And woven through it all is this profound emphasis on individual perception and free will. If love is about empowering individual choice, then how people perceive the world, how they define their own purpose, that becomes paramount.
It's like he's saying, before we can even begin to talk about love, we have to acknowledge that everyone experiences and interprets the world in their own unique way. But how does he plan to make this whole constitution of love thing stick? I mean, it's a powerful idea, but is it really something you can just put into practice?
And this is where his tech background comes back into play in a really interesting way. He actually uses blockchain technology to permanently record these definitions.
Wait, hold on. He put his constitution on the blockchain.
You got it. He's essentially trying to make these ideas immutable, right? Like permanently etching them into the digital fabric of the world so that they can't be altered or erased. It's a bold statement about the enduring nature of these ideas.
Okay, now that's thinking long term. It's almost like he's creating a time capsule for his philosophy, ensuring that these ideas outlive him, outlive any of us. But it's still a big jump from a philosophical treatise and a blockchain entry to a real world movement.
Mm-hmm.
What does Christian Blaze actually plan to do with all of this?
That's where his background as a filmmaker and storyteller comes into play.
Okay.
Remember the Blaze Luminaries Group, the company he founded?
Right, the one he's seeking investors for.
Exactly.
Okay.
He's not content with just writing about these ideas. He wants to bring them to life. He has two main goals, and they're both really ambitious.
Okay.
First, he wants to establish a high-end media production company in El Salvador.
Okay. So he's going back to his roots, but this time he's bringing his Hollywood experience with him.
And not just his experience, but the potential to create jobs to build something sustainable.
Right.
But it's more than just setting up shop in El Salvador.
Okay.
He wants to use the power of film to explore and maybe even demonstrate the principles of his constitution of love.
You mean like actually make movies based on these ideas?
Yeah.
That's surprisingly cool.
It's brilliant, really.
Yeah.
Think about it. Science fiction in particular lets you explore complex philosophical questions, alternative societal structures, in ways that other genres can't.
That's true.
And Blaze is uniquely positioned to pull this off. He's got the technical expertise, the storytelling ability, and now this profound philosophical framework driving his work.
And the fact that he's doing it in El Salvador adds another layer of interest, doesn't it?
Absolutely. His second goal is to produce a science fiction film directly inspired by his constitution of love.
Wow. A sci-fi movie exploring a society built on selfless action and individual freedom.
It's a new cake.
I have to admit, my curiosity is officially piqued. What do you think? Could he actually pull this off? Is this the start of something truly groundbreaking, or is it just a utopian fantasy?
It's a question worth pondering, isn't it?
Yeah.
We've seen time and again how powerful stories can be, how they can shift perspectives and inspire change.
Right.
Christian Blaze might just have the right mix of passion and skills to bring his unique vision to life.
Yeah.
Only time will tell what impact he'll have. But one thing is certain. He's definitely someone to watch.
He certainly is.
Yeah.
So there you have it, listeners. What do you make of his radical vision for a decentralized nation united by love? Is it a utopian dream, a glimpse into a more hopeful future, or something else entirely? We'd love to hear your thoughts.